Welcome to Here's the Thing. My name is Vince Negro, and with us on today's program is Joseph Tito. Joseph, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I've heard so much about you, and
All good, I hope.
All good, all good. I've been looking forward to this interview, to be honest with you. Just on a personal note, you have twin girls. I also have twin girls, and maybe we could exchange stories, but my twins are in their 28 years old.
Please tell me it gets easier.
But
mine are only one.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It gets a little tough. Well, you know what? As they say, small kids, small problems. Large kids, big problems. Not that they're problems, that they're really a joy. And at the end of the day, everything we kind of do is really, it's all about our kids. But as I said, you've had an interesting life, and you've migrated through where you are today. I always ask this question, like, who was Joseph in high school? And tell us a little about who you were in high school.
God, like I told you before, I don't even know who I am now. Okay. So my high school, I started modeling at 15.
Right.
So most of my high school I did correspondence, which I remember grade 10, it was all about, fitting in and being cool. And I was kind of like friends with everybody.
Yeah.
Then I went away. I was in Milan, Spain, Korea. And then when I came back, I was like, I don't really care what you guys think.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, my high school was kind of, most of it was away. So I did most of the correspondence. But yeah.
Well, so your first, when you said modeling, was modeling one of your first kind of ventures that you delved into?
Yeah, I started at 15,
Okay.
and I was lucky to go to New York, and then from New York I got an agency in Milan, and then Rome, Korea, Spain I worked. So started working at a really young age. My parents let me go, which
is for an Italian family.
As for an Italian family,
Yeah.
Exactly. My parents have been amazing throughout my whole life. And, but yeah, that was my first kind of venture.
Joseph, when you said you were 15 when you got into modeling, how did that come about? Did someone say, "Hey, Joseph, you'd be a good person to be a model"?
Pretty much, yeah. I was in the mall and I got scouted, I guess, and I went to one agency, and then from that agency they sent me to New York, and then from that I got another agency, and it kind of just went. And it was the 90s at the time, so it was the time when androgyny was, so I was like very skinny, long hair, so I did very well in Europe, not here. In fact, Canada, it was all like the Abercrombie and Fitch, like big blonde surfer dudes, which that wasn't me. So I got to experience the world at a young age, which kind of opened my eyes a lot, and I think it made me the person I am today. And
Did that modeling kind of entree that you had a little bit in New York and then got into Europe get you exposed to TV production? And was that a natural kind of progression for you?
So basically, what happened was I wanted to go to university, so I went to Ryerson, and I didn't work as a model in Canada, very little. So I said, okay, well, I need to stay in school. So then that's when I got into acting. And then I realized that acting wasn't really, like, I had something more to say than acting, and so I tried to write a script, and I went to my agent and I said, oh, I wrote a script, and she's like, no, you didn't. And so I just kind of kept working it, and then my first film was an adaptation of Timothy Finley's, one of Timothy Finley's short stories, and it was funded by the Finley estate. And then from there...
How old were you at that time? How old were you?
I was 19 when we shot the film. And I started doing well in festivals, and then I went into film. After many years, I realized there's no money in film.
Okay.
I got headhunted to go to the Middle East as a director for their English channel. And from there, every time I traveled, people were like, oh, what's it like in the Middle East? Can women do this? Can women do that? So I was like, well, why don't I do a TV show, a lifestyle show? It was kind of like a Real Housewives of
the Middle East.
The Middle East. That show did extremely well in Cannes, and people there was not a lot of content. Like, so I shot in the Middle East, but for the outside world, for the English-speaking world. And so just from there, we kind of, my company took off, and we did a whole bunch of lifestyle shows and Food Network and Netflix. I have shows on Netflix, and yeah, it kind of took off from there.
So as you were expanding into all those, and it's a lot, obviously, and that encompassed directing, editing, writing.
Directing, editing. Yeah, I started by myself and kind of did everything, and then slowly, like I brought down a producer to the Middle East, and then it was just me and her, and we were shooting and editing. Then we hired our first editor. Then we hired our first cameraman, and it kind of progressed till eventually when I left the Middle East, we had about 13 employees, full-time employees. So we were still small, still boutique production company. And yeah.
And while you were doing that, did you feel that you're lost in that particular genre, what you were doing, and that was something you always saw yourself doing, or was it something that you also saw as a stepping stone into?
Well, for me, it was
finding yourself, or whatever that is.
Yeah, well, for me, it was. I mean, I personally don't like lifestyle or reality shows, but they sold, and they were easier to do. It's kind of like
Kardashians have done very well,
and it's advertising, right? It's sponsorship. It's easy money that you can get to produce. My love is film. Like, I'd love to do film, like do a film every 2 years, but just life kind of took me there, and then I went through surrogacy, and that, you know, when the girls were born, I didn't want to stay in the Middle East. I came back to Canada, and now I'm doing something completely different. Well, not completely different, but
before we get to there, so once that was kind of done, and you felt, you know, you had enough of the Middle East, and I guess you were looking at becoming a father, or getting into a lifestyle that you thought you probably would fill maybe a void that you had.
Yeah.
And so the whole surrogacy of the child, how did that come about? Was that something that you, as I said, were thinking about? Because you did it by yourself. You didn't have a partner at the time?
When I started, I had a partner.
You had a partner,
yeah.
Okay.
So I always wanted to be a dad. And living in the Middle East, like, I, thank God, made really good money, and I traveled a lot, and I remember I was sitting in the Burj Khalifa, which is a extremely beautiful hotel, on the, I think it was 100 and I don't even know what floor, and I was just looking at the sunrise, and I just felt like,
something's missing.
And what?
Yeah.
Like, great, I have money, I have this, but I didn't feel like my life was going anywhere. And so that's when I took the decision and made the decision to look into somehow either having or adoption. I looked kind of into everything, and I went to my partner at the time, and he was kind of hesitant. But I continued, and I looked into adoption, and I mean, as a single gay male, it's close to impossible.
Right.
Adoption, and so then I looked into surrogacy, and that's when I kind of started my whole journey.